Kerry, IRD stopping writing cheques, so that's a worry.
Yeah, they've made the announcement as from this year they're going to do away with them. They're sick and tired of basically issuing them because they are expensive. So they're going to force every taxpayer to basically hand over a bank account number and you'll have your refund direct credited.
Mind you, with all due respect, they already do have your bank account number so that they can make sure they're monitoring any interest that
Yes,
could have
indeed,
happened.
yeah, and that's one of the fears that people have had for a while, that if they get their bank account they can get money out. You know, IRD can just go and grab it. The reality is they can do it for a long time. They've been doing it for 15 plus years. They can just give the bank an order and take your money out. So the fact you've got to hand over a bank account, not a big deal. They know it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So things like GST refunds for farmers?
GST refunds, income tax refunds, basically anything that gets a refund will now be going direct credit into your bank account. So instead of waiting 7 to 14 days for a cheque, you should be waiting 2 or 3 days and it'll be in there.
It does make sense because, I mean, every invoice I ever get now has got a bank number at the bottom and you just sit there and...
Yeah, and
then you turn to religion and hope you've got the numbers right.
Exactly. It's taken IRD a while to get there, but they are there. There's one little concern that we still have. They haven't yet made an announcement as what happens if they over-refund or they refund the wrong tax type. Who's responsible for the shortfall and the penalties that might come. So that's one thing that we're still waiting on them just to clarify.
Oh, I'm very sure they'll work through that though.
Yeah, they'll sort it out. If it's their mistake, they should accept it, but whether that's the case, we're waiting to see. But it's still a positive announcement that
I think it's great. I really do, because as much as I love banking IRD checks, it's still going to come up on a bank statement.
Yeah, and it's the worst thing for some people. We've got people coming at the moment and they haven't banked checks for 3 or 4 months. And they have 3 or 4 refund checks for GST and they say, can we get these direct credit instead of a paper cheque? Well, now they won't have an option. It will happen.
Well, they've joined the 21st century,
Exactly.
which is great.
Yes.
A mobile app for IRD.
Yes.
We are getting pretty modern here.
Yeah, well, they're at the forefront of what they're doing now. They're starting to push the technology, and they've come out and said on the website you've got IR file, so you can go and file your GST electronically. Well, now they've got an app, so you can actually do it on your phone, iPad, or something like that. So rather than having to go and find the computer and do it all, you can sit in your tractor, for example, and file your GST return while you're sitting there.
It's like on the land, any screen, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. An IRD like that is now 24/7. They've also allowed you the ability to pay by your bank, your credit or your debit card via the same app. So you've got no option about not paying. They've given you flexibility there. So you can get in there, pay it, file your GST return. You can also update them with your postal address. So if if you suddenly think, oh, it's not quite right, and we're just going to the accountant instead of you can jump in there and update the details for them.
Kerry, I guess with all honesty, there's going to be some people who will go weak at the knees about that, but they can still do everything through their chartered accountant.
They can still do it through their accountant, or they can still do it on the website. But IRD are moving into that world where they want you to be more active in your GST, etc.
I mean, there will be some people of a certain age group who will say, can't handle it, I've just mastered the biro and that's as far as I go.
Exactly, there is.
So chartered accountants.
Yeah, but those people will have to catch up because they are wanting to get away from the paper returns. So eventually, you're going to have to do it online one way or another.
Or you pay somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, or you pay someone. We've got people, though, they'll get us to do the GST and they'll actually go and file it electronically themselves. So there's still that option out there, but one way or another.
You've got that try thingy.
We've got TriTech there, which
thank you.
Yeah, allows them to get the GST done, and we can take care of their GST at the same time with IRD. But this app is a good advancement for them.
I just want to talk about GST for a minute and your TriTech business, because it's very complicated for farmers. You've got a portion of the house, you've got a portion of your power, you've got a portion of your phone, and if you claim it all, it's wrong. And if you don't claim enough, you're doing yourself in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything.
You've got those templates.
Yeah, we've got things set up that when it comes through, we know if say, for example, house power, we know exactly what percentage should go where, and we make sure you get that claim, because house power on a farm adds up pretty quickly, and you don't want to miss out on it. It saves you some tax at the end of the year. We've done the numbers, and sometimes it's sort of $2,000 to $3,000 worth of tax a year that you could save. When you look at some of the farm expenses that you think, oh, I can't claim them because they're not directly related to the farm, as in the animals, etc. But if they're related to the house, you've got a claim there you should be getting in on.
So how does it work? You get the bank statements?
We get the bank stuff electronically. We put some systems in place where the client might spend 5-10 minutes at the beginning of the month putting some numbers on those transactions for us.
As in codes?
Yep, as in codes. And then we give them a written report of their profit and loss and their GST, and then the GST's filed with IRD.
So this sounds like a commercial for DAA, I know, but so basically that's every month you can see how you're doing,
Yeah,
and
every
what you're
month,
doing,
yep.
and whether you're falling behind or whether you're ahead.
Yeah, we can, and if we see trouble, we can actually jump in, rather than waiting at the end of the year, which is what most accountants don't like. They want to be in there amongst the farmers, keeping them on track. And
well, so do the farmers, because if you've got, for example, a dairy farmer and the price keeps coming down, I notice that the price has gone up because they're now including a share dividends.
Yes.
Is that creative accounting or what?
It's very clever. It makes good reporting.
But seriously, I mean, you want to be able to say, "Boof, this is," and they haven't got time to do it, or the expertise to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we can take it out of their hands, do it for them, and keep an eye on it, and just watch for those warning signs.
Here's your commercial, because at the end of the program, your DAA, which is Dodd and Associates website's coming up, so people can get in touch, and they don't have to be in Christchurch; they can be anywhere. So there's your freebie. Let's talk dairying, as we were, because you're pretty keen on keeping up to date and working on what's happening.
Yeah,
as far as
we're
concerned.
now starting to work with our dairy farmers, look to the next season. We're well into budgeting with them, and the banks are the ones that are surprising us a bit. They're wanting to see the budgets, but they're getting more involved than just the raw numbers. So, for example, I sat down with a dairy farmer and his manager yesterday, and the manager wanted to know what his pasture renewal program was, his fertiliser applications, when he was doing it, how much, and just making sure he's actually viable. Because at the moment, the payout's well below the average cost of production. So the banks are getting worried, and they're wanting to get a bit more information than just the raw numbers that we report.
Yeah, when you get the shareholder of the year admitting at a field day that he or they won't make any money this year. In fact, it'll be something like 18,000 behind, and they're budgeting for $16,000 loss next year. Yep. That's frightening.
It is.
And they would have trimmed their personal expenditure right back.
Yes, yeah. Well, the one we sat down with yesterday, all the capital expenditure's been put on hold, repairs have been cut right back, fertilisers back, all the sort of the things you think obvious of. Drawings are down to basically nothing. They are going
no
to
school fees.
Yeah, no, there's none of that. It really is cutting right back, and the banks are wanting to see it. They're going to support them, but they also want to see the dairy farmer taking some action and making sure that they can get through this part, and then when it does come back to the boom.
Has anybody told you as a chartered accountant how long it's likely to be? I mean, is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Has anyone put any?
No, there's general commentary. It could be 1 or 2 seasons, but who knows? There's no real certainty. You read different reports, and they've all got different variables as to when it's going to happen.
If you get 7 people talking about an opinion, you'll get 9 opinions.
Yeah, and all the banks have got different opinions as well. So I've talked to 2 different managers, and they're both forecasting different turnaround times. So it's even hard to actually rely on the banks, and they're normally pretty close to it as well. But who knows when it's going to come bounce back.
And there's no magic figure that people can say this is what we're going to work out on, because everybody's hoping.
Yes, yeah, and every farm has got a different cost of production. So when you look at the payout, you say, okay, well, this is what it is, this is what your production is. We need to start cutting back.
And how far can you?
You need to obviously keep the farm productive, so you've got to do the minimum, but a lot of it's just repairs and maintenance has been put on hold, which is going to catch up further down the track. You've got to do it at some point, but they're going to try and survive with what they've got and hang in there.
Very scary times, but thank you very much indeed. Winter, obviously you need to have a wee look at maintenance. We have a look at that in just a moment.